here, coming at you guys with another Monday trade paperback review. Over the weekend, I was out hitting comic book shops and half-price books looking for Fables titles. More on that coming up in this week's Fables Friday video. And while I was out hunting, I got semi-sidetracked on my Wildstorm kick that I've been on basically since the spring. While I was looking through the trades, I saw the shop had two different editions of Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch's Authority run. One from the New 52 era, and then one more recent, sometime since they updated to the modern DC logo. And it was kind of funny because I was looking at it, and basically the same content. Both had issues 1 through 12. Now granted, the newer release did have some additional bonus content, plus the Authority Planetary crossover issue included, but $15 difference between the two books, which was a tad staggering. So I made a point of grabbing the older edition, because I'll probably read the Planetary crossover at some point, but I probably will do it after I've actually read Planetary. Plus, I think that crossover is included in the Planetary Omnibus, which I'm planning on grabbing at some point down the road, just haven't done it. So after I picked up the edition of the Authority that I was looking for, I went down to the S's to look for the editions of Stormwatch that I wanted, because this run actually doesn't begin with the Authority, it begins with the second volume of Stormwatch. Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch started on that, and basically blew up the team and recreated the Authority. So there's one or two paperbacks that I need in order to start there so I can get to this. But while I was on that side of the store, I decided to check out the clearance section, and for $3 I found this Wildstorm title. As far as I know, pretty much a completely forgotten miniseries called The Possessed. This intrigued me because it is written by Geoff Johns, circa 2004, I want to say, so fairly early in his comic book writing career. And opening it up, it has illustrations by none other than Liam Sharp, who in my opinion is one of the great comic book illustrators of the 2000s. And on top of all of that, it's set in the Wildstorm universe, so it fits nicely into the theme of what I've been reading lately. And so for $3 I figured, why not? Let's roll the dice and find out how it is. Now, sitting down over the weekend, I had no problems getting through this book, even though I had to work. Lots of big splash pages, lots of flashy art to look through, but a fairly straightforward story, easy to follow, nothing too crazy. Basically, this story follows a group of formerly possessed mercenaries, or they're like a squad of super soldiers. It's not entirely clear, but what they all have in common is at one point when they were children, they were possessed themselves, and now they're on a quest to rid the world of demons and save everyone else from possession. So it's sort of a superhero team, but it's also more of like a military outfit. The book opens in sort of a clever way, but also in a really cheesy way. So you have this scene that looks like it's taken basically right out of The Exorcist. In fact, Liam Sharp illustrates the priest to look exactly like Max von Sydow from that movie, and he's going through all the sort of normal exorcist rituals when things get pretty out of hand fairly quickly, and then we meet our protagonists who come in guns a-blazing to basically take control of the situation and save the day. And as I was reading it, I couldn't decide if it was clever or just sort of eye-rolling. The biggest problem that it had was I wasn't quite clear on what it was they had technologically that was different than what a priest would have, in a sense. They have weapons that shoot holy water, that kind of a thing, but it's sort of surprisingly underbaked and underexplained. So you just sort of have these mercenary gun nuts showing up and just sort of kicking butt based on sheer will. As the plot develops, there are some interesting concepts you get here, where you have sort of dueling allegiances, people who were formerly possessed, maybe possibly still being possessed and working for the devil, so to speak, which makes for some interesting interplay amongst the characters. But another aspect of this that was a little bit underwhelming for me was the characterization of everyone themselves. There wasn't anybody that really jumped out as having a particularly interesting personality. They do a good job setting up the dynamics of the team, because there's like a father-daughter situation, there's a boyfriend-girlfriend situation, so like the interplay is there, but what these characters are kind of like on their own is sort of really left to the art, basically. And Liam Sharp, of course, does a great job illustrating and making these characters sort of seem badass, but that's kind of all you get, is that they're just sort of badass and, angry at the world. And that's kind of the extent of the characterization you get. So all in all, I would say this is a book that was probably worth $3, just based on the art alone. I mean, as I've been leafing through it, you've probably seen some pretty cool stuff. I think there's definitely a reason why, I had never heard of this book before, and, maybe you guys are all like, oh, I totally know The Possessed. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say probably you don't. Because there's just not quite enough here. Geoff Johns is someone who, when it comes to, like, teams, he's actually pretty good. Like, he was really good at, the Flash's Rogues Gallery, and especially how they played against each other. He was really good at JSA. I think he's generally considered to have been pretty good on Justice League. I actually still need to read that run, though. I only read the Jim Lee stuff. That's on my list for some time in the future. Whereas here, it just doesn't quite come together in that Geoff Johns way. It doesn't have the quippiness or the clever writing that I kind of would have expected. However, that said, I can't understate, the power of having Liam Sharp on this book. That really is what brings this book to a level where I'll probably hold on to it and keep it in the collection. And you never know, maybe DC will become desperate enough that they'll throw Batman in this title and Batman and the Possessed, special 6-issue limited event. You never know. So, have you guys read The Possessed? What did you think of it? Is this a title you think you might pick out? Kind of different than my normal reviews because I'm not necessarily over the moon about this one, and usually when I read a trade, I'm really excited to share my thoughts and let you guys know how great it is, whereas this was just kind of a blind buy, and so if you've seen it out in the wild, I guess now you know. Not great. Good illustration. If you love Liam Sharp, maybe pick it up. Otherwise, probably pretty skippable. So that's this week's Wildstorm trade paperback review. I will be back very soon with some more trade reviews. Of course, we've got This Week in Batman coming up, and on Friday, look forward to a Fables Friday video. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys have a great week in comics, and take care.